Hello, and welcome to the Gamer Librarian Podcast. I am your host, Adrian, and I will be talking about my experience playing Star Wars, Jedi Survivor, and more. Afterwards, be sure to subscribe to be notified when future episodes are released, and show your support by liking and leaving a comment. Thank you for joining, and may the 4th be with you. That's right, today is May 4th, and I hope that all of you spent it doing something Star Wars related that's fun for you, whether it's rewatching any of the old movies, regardless of what uh, sequel, prequel, wequel, whatever it is. Any of the shows, from the animated Clone Wars stuff to the live action Disney Plus stuff, or playing any of the games, whether it's Battlefront, the Lego games, or Edge of Empires, or even the new recently just come out Jedi Survivor, or reading one of their great novels or books coming out. So much good Star Wars media out there for almost anybody to enjoy of all kinds, and that's probably what I really like about Star Wars in itself is that you never get almost the same story twice, right? I know that they have adaptations of the movies into books and other like games and things like that, but a lot of Star Wars media is very original to its format. Like its novels are always so in and of itself expanding the universe. It's been propelling the entire media for a very long time. The comics have also been really good at doing that. Video games have been pretty rocky, right? It depends. Video games kind of get the whole ground. They make games of the books and the game and the movies and the comics and everything. There's games for everything, but they also have the original stuff, which is really good. Just like uh, the Jedi Fallen Order Survivor series or whatever they're really calling it, Forthright by EA. Very fun. Definitely a real good take for Star Wars, going back to single player, kind of open worldish, open area kind of stuff. Their combat leaves a little to be desired, in my opinion. I'm not a big fan of them making a big emphasis on the parrying and blocking of it. But I understand the choice, right? Jedi should be usually less offensive in some cases. In the new game Survivor, they do have these fun things called stances, where you get the best of both worlds for making a Jedi character. You get to play your character the way you want with its lightsaber, right? Jedi usually have like so many different kind of lightsabers. You have like the single, the dual wield, the double bladed, and then even now we got like the pronged ones. So you pick a stance for Jedi Survivor, and that stance is locked to a single Jedi blade type, right? Like your heavy Jedi Guardian does like the pronged large lightsaber kind of stance, and then you got your dual wield stance where the lightsaber breaks off into two pieces, or your double bladed where it's like Darth Maul's long blade is like the one stance you could use. And they got your regular single blades stuff, which is nice. So you get a lot of good customization with the lightsabers. A lot of good customization. That's where like the collectible secrets come in usually. You usually get things for like completing side quests, I believe, or finding collectibles throughout the world and doing secrets. And you can unlock things that customize your lightsaber, like the colors, the type of lightsabers, like the little uh, ends of them, the grips. You really get in there, and it's pretty cool. A little more in depth than the first game. You get a lot more options as you play the game than I remember in the first game, and that's really nice. And you even get like a blaster later on that you can customize yourself with that. You can customize BD-8 or BD-1. I think it's BD-1 a lot more than you could in the first game, which is nice. That because as a fan of that, I like doing that while I play the game, right? I always think like the customization options as I get them, I just do them randomly like that as I play this game. I'll just make my lightsaber like cotton candy colors with like really vibrant blue and pink colors, and I'll pick like a green lightsaber color with that. Or you can make your blaster colors like rusted and really old, and you have like a really good like condition bar where like things look pristine, and then really old and like uh, faded and like dirty. Really nice. I really like that. Um, Survivor's been really fun. It's really good to see Cal again and a lot of the new returning faces for Star Wars. Star Wars is always a place where you can get so many different kinds of people out there in the world, which is so great. Um, all different types of people live out in the galaxy, and you get some really interesting stories out of that, like um, the guy who had a gambling problem, who was like the pilot of your ship from the first game. I really liked him. He's probably my favorite returning character out of all of them. That's the one thing I really remember, right? Is him having the gambling problem, because that was a whole side story for the first game where he uh, makes it so that you get kidnapped by the people that owe him money, and you got to fight like an arena for him, and all that. That was really fun. I thought that was a really fun like way to tie in all these side character stories with the main plot and everything. That was extremely enjoyable. And he comes back. There's a lot of returning characters and even some returning enemies, which is fun. Obviously you fight stormtroopers and like rancors, but they got like more robots and even like some giant, massive, like Horizon Zero Dawn size robots, which is wild. Um, it's really fun. I'm on the planet Kobo now. I have to look for some guy for some reason. I don't know. You kind of are going like from planet to planet, just back and forth for a while. But in this game, they have like a proper hub area, which is really cool. The first game didn't really have that, and I thought that was kind of a misstep, right? Your hub area was kind of just the ship itself, but there was really no like cool towns or cities that you could really go explore. This hub area even has a store and like little cantina where you can hang out with some of the patrons and I think just talk to a lot of people. They have some side quests in this game which I haven't really dived into yet. I think there's even like a Pazak or whatever the little like chess kind of game is that Star Wars has. I think there's like a side quest to go do that I'm about to do when this recording is done. Um, and I'm pretty cool about that because Star Wars is always a place about exploring, and sure, exploring like fun towns and all that is one of the cooler things you could do in a Star Wars game, and it is nice to see that because the game is pretty beautiful. They have some very fun looking areas here. You obviously get like your planet biomes, the desert, snow, and rain and stuff like that. You go to Coruscant at one point, so like your an entire space city is a biome. But it's nice to see that Star Wars is becoming uh, a larger place because there should be more places to like explore and go to in these worlds. I mean, there's so many like places where you can visit that are destroyed by the Clone Wars and wars by the Empire and all things like that. And there's so much like exotic lore out of that. If anybody ever played Star Wars: The Old Republic MMO, there's all these planets and places you can go for whatever side you choose, and it's so full of like fun lore. I love that. In the end of this game, I'm probably gonna go read all the Codex stuff at some point later on, because that stuff's always fun. Seeing how big Star Wars is compared to its longer narratives was always cool. If anybody ever played Star Wars Battlefront 2, that game even had like cool little cutscenes at the end of its like conquest mode stuff where you beat missions and you got like little explurbs of the like the 501st clone legions telling little like pieces of their experience, like some dudes like dealing with like the fauna and like the muck on like the plant world from Star Wars. I don't even remember something F, I think. There's even in Star Wars Episode 3, the game, where you had a choice. If you won as Anakin Skywalker, you can fight the Emperor by the very end, which is really, really neat. One of the most underrated Star Wars games ever is the Episode 3, the video game, on modern consoles, like mainstream consoles, like the PS2 home consoles. I'm sure they had like a Game Boy adaptation that was probably awful in some way, but you know, still fun in its own right as a game. But Star Wars games have been really cool on that, always adding more to the lore, which is fun. And that's why I like Survivor so much. Regardless of the combat, it is more Star Wars. You know, there's these challenge modes that I found in the game, and there's one that there's where you fight on like a horde of separatist droids, the regular like brown Roger Roger droids that you see, and that's probably the best encounter I've experienced in the game because you could just start hacking and slashing and just start wailing on loads of those robots, and that's fun. That was very fun. I like doing those challenge modes. I'm only doing the game on normal. I don't know how difficult that makes the challenge modes in themselves. I don't know if it changed anything like that, but I found the game to be kind of okay. They definitely started throwing in more beefy enemies into encounters, like the big buffer robots that get big armored attacks that start really annoying me. And ranged enemies like the flamethrower guys they're throwing in now. Um, and some flying like droids, which is kind of cool. The combat's pretty awesome. They have force powers, which you use like L2 to push and R2 to pull, which is pretty neat. And then if you hold those buttons or like L1 and R1, you do like even more moves like throw your lightsaber and do like charge attacks and things like that. Um, they definitely amped up the traversal in this game because the first game had like climbing and your standard like climbing stuff. Like all the edges are like painted white or some kind of color that you can see that you can climb onto it, and you'll just climb ledges and stuff and like slide on railings and things like that. But I think the first game even had wall running, but this game added wall running and now it has dashing, which makes for some insane parkour in my opinion. There's one part of the game where you have a partner who can teleport. If you haven't really played the first game, you'll know who she is. And you can start like dashing through the air and stuff through her like portals and things. And it's pretty insane to look at what's happening on screen and think, oh, I'm playing as a Jedi. I'm just flying around. It's pretty wild. But it's fun. It's definitely a very fun Star Wars game for now. I'm excited to see where it goes. The last game had a pretty fun secret boss by the end of it, and I'm hoping they maybe keep something like that up by the end. Maybe not sure. I hope that we don't get like characters like Luke Skywalker or bigger characters like that. Darth Vader is probably just enough. Like the villain characters would be probably pretty cool. And but maybe for the next game, maybe like add more larger hub areas. I don't know. We go to Coruscant at some point, and I don't know if we would go back there, but it's just kind of a shame that we don't go to Coruscant just to hang out, right? I'm sure you could just put on a mask and just hide in Coruscant for a while. I really like that planet; it's pretty cool. We go to a sand planet, and it's kind of just mediocre going to another sand planet again. They're all the same biomes half the time in all these Star Wars worlds. Always got to have your sand planet. But I don't know if we're gonna have a next game after this. I'm surprised we really even did get a sequel. I think the first game did hint at us getting more. But Cal's story doesn't have to end. It doesn't also have to mean that the game series has to be made until like 8 sequels and just beaten to death until it's not the same thing anymore. But they will start to run out of stuff to do once like the episodes kind of catch up to them with their storyline, right? Like if Darth Vader and Palpatine fall at some point, what else is Cal Kestis going to do? But you can just keep adding villains. It seems like, right? For Star Wars stories, they could always just be another like Sith guy who somehow Palpatine and Darth Vader can train, because that rule of two is always out there. There's always been some Sith being trained. And the thing that like Palpatine had the time to train so many, at least under the notions that we've seen in the earlier media. I don't know much so about now, but to think that he could train like Maul at some point and Dooku. We know that Anakin is like reigned for a while because he wins with Anakin, but I don't know who the Sith girl is in Clone Wars. I don't remember who she is. The blonde girl, not blonde. She's like bald and white. She has like two dual red sabers. I don't remember her name, but I don't know who trains her. I think it's Dooku. I think Dooku trains her, and that's about it. But it always seems like there's somebody training somebody, and in this game, uh, definitely hints on that with like the Ninth Sisters and stuff. I'm not sure all the lore and stuff. I don't remember, but I think the Ninth Sisters are like other Jedi's that have been like indoctrinated or brainwashed into becoming dark Jedi's or un-Sith because they're not full Sith, I guess, if you're not trained by a Sith. I'm not really sure. The semantics of that don't necessarily matter, but it's nice to see Star Wars doing a lot in the right direction again because it kind of felt like the media was really hit or miss. Like when the before the sequels were coming out, we had like just the Clone Wars show was kind of in its standstill, I think. Like Rebels had just come out, and I never watched Rebels, and it really felt like we never even got any Star Wars media at the time, right? I don't think any other Star Wars games have come out around then, other than the Battlefront games. I think the new Battlefront games are came out around the same time as the newer movies, but man, it is good to see Star Wars come back. They have Star Wars Visions, which I haven't watched. I think I attempted to watch season one, and they had the cool samurai fight. That was really nice. I don't think I watched anything after that though. I'm not a big anthology person. I always kind of like seeing what I'm getting into before I get into stuff. It's just kind of really a thing for me, knowing what kind of story I'm going to be looking into or experiencing. Like short story collections are really hard for me to get into because of that. But I'll probably watch Vision at some point, and then I think there's talking about Andor season two and all that, which is really nice. That show is pretty awesome. It's a different take of Star Wars that you wouldn't have thought would be cool. Is like a political kind of thriller because like it's what made episode one and two kind of just so mediocre. It was the politics, and it was because like they didn't do anything better with that kind of um conflict outside of the Jedi get to like talk to these money people, the separatists, on like finding some middle ground with these people because the Jedi are like the faux police force negotiator people, the mediators. Episode 2 even starts off with the assassination of Padme's decoy, right? That's about as politically thrilling as you get for Star Wars. I haven't really watched Clone Wars, the show, so I think you probably get a little more in depth into that kind of political thrilling stuff mostly. I really don't know. It got into like Padme and R2D2 and C3PO episodes. I really just started tuning out the entire show. But I want to watch it again just to catch up on what I need to know for Ahsoka. But I'm enjoying Survivor. I'm excited to see where Cal Kestis takes me, what planets he goes to, what other creatures and Sith enemies that he gets to cut limbs off. One of the coolest things about Star Wars is cutting limbs off of stormtroopers. I'll never get tired of that ever in any media ever. Since it is still May 4th, I've been a big Star Wars kick for a while. I even been reading the Star Wars novel Battlefront Twilight Company by Alexander Freed. And this book is about the Twilight Company of the Rebellion, the 61st Mobile Infantry. And it's pretty cool. You get a good snippet of this company's history. I'm not by the end yet. I'm only on page 240 or so, and it starts off in the middle of the rebellion, right? You're not getting like the first company or anything like that, or like its first mission. It's a company with history, right? There's been people in it for years who have died and fought already, and you see that through a lot of the characters who are, for the most part, at least more uh accustomed to living their life like this in this warfare. And you get like the newbies who just either joined for whatever reason, and now that they're experiencing what war really is like, for at least being in this rebellion. And it's pretty cool. I'd probably say that it has a really difficult start. It's one of the books that doesn't have like a list of main characters for the beginning of it, and you don't see the races for the most part. I think they're all human. Um, Difficult to tell. I'm always bad at like remembering little details about that in books. Um, but there's probably one gripe I had to say about it, and I probably wish that that didn't have this, because I know I was just saying that I like seeing that in like Jedi Fallen Order with them having small tie-ins to other characters and stuff. But this book ties into a major movie. I would say indefinitely it's a major tie-in in some way, and it doesn't hurt the book or the movie in any way. It's just a nice addition if you really think about it. It's just nice to see it like bridge that gap, but it does get a little too close for comfort. I won't spoil what does happen because it's in the middle of the book, and all I'll say is that it does take place during a major movie, and some event happens that kind of just makes it all connect. And I don't know that that's for me. That's just kind of like a thing you kind of like or dislike at some point, and I think I dislike it for this book. I really don't want to spoil what it is for anybody who doesn't or hasn't read it, but it's definitely a Star Wars book that I've been meaning to finally read, because I've just never big into the rebellion side of Star Wars. It was just never my thing. I was a big Clone Wars person, and I read all the Republic Commando books, and that has some pretty good clone stuff. And um, the after reading The Moon is a Harsh Mistress, I got a good understanding of like how rebellions start, and Andor was obviously a really good uh, starter for that too. That really got me onto this kick. And so I thought after reading X-Wing, I should read this again, and I'm having a big blast with it. I can't say much about the characters, to be honest. I haven't found anyone I particularly like. Um, there's two characters that I guess are kind of pretty cool. Um, but that's probably that. You know, Star Wars is always something that's very fun to experience, and I never read anything that's anything else by Alexander Freed, so I'm really not sure what else he has written or have done. I'm sure he has other Star Wars books under his belt. But if anybody of you have read Star Wars, Battlefront, Twilight Company, please let me know if you've read it before. I'm sorry, I don't know much to say else about this book. It is kind of mediocre in my opinion. You know, it doesn't go out of its way to be super special. And like the more I think about how it ties into the main plot of the Star Wars series, I just kind of lose interest in it, right? Like Star Wars should always feel like this larger, expansive world, but then like we start seeing the same characters and same locations and all of its media, and it does get a little tiring. But I'm in it for the fun experience, you know. Star Wars doesn't have to be uh, the same thing for me every single time. I do like the things to be a little more focused, right? The Star Wars movies try to get like the best of both worlds in like its experiences, but it's nice to get something that's just a grounded like military combat novel, or even if you want, you can get like the X-wing stuff, which is like your dogfight in space, which is really great. And then I think Star Wars really just needs to be something for everybody, and you just got to pick and choose what you want. You know, you have all these eras of Star Wars that you could pick and choose from. You got anything before the prequels is amazing. I think Old Republic is just so awesome because you get everything except for maybe some like big galactic war, you know. But you do get a lot of Star Wars feels from the Old Republic, and High Republic has to be something that experience soon. Eventually, I'll start reading some High Republic stuff. That's going to happen eventually because they mention it in Survivor for a bit, and I know a little more on what that era is because there's no big conflict, and it's as far as I know, it's right after like the Sith become like the rule of two kind of stuff. So you're not going to see as many of them. I'm really unsure, but I think it'll be exciting. And yeah, Star Wars has been really great for the last few years. I'm excited to see what other stuff we're gonna get out of Star Wars, right? We got Visions just come out, Mandalorian just wrapped up. We're gonna get so much more stuff in the future, and I'm very excited. I hope for a strategy game. That's probably what I'm most excited for is maybe a strategy game. Um, a better Battlefront would always be beloved to me. I don't really care about like what mechanics you put in besides loot boxes. Don't do that. But a Battlefront game would always be fun. And I think strategy game would be nice because you know Empire at War was always really fun, but it was definitely locked to its original trilogy setting, which was like really harsh. And now we got the prequels, we got the sequels, and we got the prequels with High Republic. And I don't know, I feel like you can make a really good Star Wars strategy game out there with modern like sensibilities. I'm not really sure how you would do it, but I do think it would be a really fun game you can make. Now, I have been a big fan of tabletop RPGs for quite a long time, and I did end up backing the Kickstarter for Monolith's Batman Gotham City Chronicles RPG. And I say RPG because I didn't back the board game specifically. I only backed so I can get the RPG content, which is the core rulebook, the adventure guide, and the Gotham City like lore book, and then the DM screen and other things. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff you could get for it, like the third edition or year three or version three of the Gotham City Chronicles board game, which is pretty cool in of itself. I don't really know much about that, so it's not really my thing to talk about. But it's something you could offer to get if you back the Kickstarter or wait for it to release. But I'm definitely more inclined on the RPG side, and I'm excited to have that game in my hands. My friends have been talking about running a villain campaign where they're all the villains, so we might do all that. Um, and it looks like it's going to be a really good buy. I mean, having three core books is something, but I feel like you're going to get a lot of use out of all three of them. A big adventure book, something that's really nice. A lore book is really great if it's expansive and has a lot to pull from for like role play and stuff like that. Even settings is really great because Gotham City is such a deep place with its lore. Outside of just Batman, like it has such great stuff. If you ever watched like the Gotham series of TV shows, that's pretty good. You have a lot of stuff you can just pull from in terms of Gotham City being a living place, like its own character, like it should be, because Gotham City is a massive piece of just Batman in and of itself, right? Which is great. I'm not sure what other kind of DC lore they're gonna have in place. So they have mentions to like other superheroes or superhero towns and cities and things like Star Labs and stuff like that. But it's awesome, coming back from doing the Mutants and Masterminds Marvel game that I just did for my friends to going to another superhero game sometime in the future, Batman centered, more or less. Really, really great. And I'll put on the screen probably what the update is, but they did do a Kickstarter update where they added progress report for the whole Kickstarter, and the screenshot will probably be more for the RPG side, but they're getting along. Everything's about 70 or 85% done, which is pretty nice. So we'll probably get it definitely within the year, hopefully. Um, we also got an update for the Walking Dead Kickstarter. That should be in our hands. At least the PDFs should be in our hands within the next week or so. Really excited for that. And besides the RPG stuff, probably last thing I want to talk about is for anybody who's out there watching the Yellow Jackets TV show on Showtime. Please let me know what you think of tomorrow's episode when it drops, because we recently had to skip last week, which was a big bummer, a really big bummer in my opinion, because I was so excited for the way this show is going. Every episode, when it ends, I'm just so craving more of it. All the characters in it are so great. All the actors do such a great job in it, and it's such a harrowing show. It's like Lord of the Flies meets Lost in some weird way. For anybody who doesn't know, Yellow Jackets, I'll give a brief premise of it. not to spoil anything, 'cause I don't want to spoil anything for the show. Um, it's about a girls soccer team who are stranded after a plane crash, and that's half the show. But the other half is that you see the aftermath of that a few decades down the line for the survivors, and how they deal with that in later on. And I won't say what else it is, but if you like things that are like suspense with thriller and obviously like high school kind of drama, and then like real world drama obviously later on, even some horror, I think you would love this show if you're a big fan of that. Um, yeah, Yellow Jackets has been really fun. Dying for next episode, and I'm dying to see how the season ends. We're on season 2 right now, and I'm just waiting for more. You know, that really that week off was just really upsetting because I watch it with my girlfriend, so we just kind of wait for them to come out. And it's one of the only shows that I'm really dying to watch episode by episode, especially now. You know, I binge watched season 1 with her when it fully ended, and that was a really great time. And we just had to keep watching season 2. But yeah, if you're watching that show, leave a comment. Tell me what you think about any of the characters and what you think is going to happen in tomorrow's episode. This has been episode 8 of the Gamer Librarian podcast. Be sure to subscribe for updates on future episode releases. Leave a like and comment on what games or books I should talk about in the future. Thank you, and see you next time.